Traditionally, when we are looking for a target within the brain, we use something called structural MRI. MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, is a really powerful and wonderful tool that allows us to visualize the structure of the brain, the anatomy of the brain. When we look at the target that we're trying to hit in focused ultrasound for tremor, it is a tiny portion of a structure called the thalamus. And traditionally we cannot see this even with the very best structural MRI scans. However, there is another MR technique which allows us not only to see the structure of the brain, but to see how the brain is connected. In other words, we can pick a spot within the brain and we can use MR technology to tell us what is the probability that this spot is connected to another spot. And this connectivity MRI is really quite useful because if you think of it, the power of the brain is how it's connected to each other, how the different parts of the brain speak to each other really defines how it functions. And therefore, we can use this really wonderful technology of MR connectivity to say, okay, we know which area of the surface of the brain controls movement, we know which part of the back of the brain called the cerebellum controls movement. Can we see where these two areas are most heavily connected within the thalamus? And that defines the motor part of the thalamus, not by its structure, but by its connectivity. And through research that has been done here at Queen Square, we've been able to publish papers that reliably identify the motor part of the thalamus, which is the part that's misbehaving in essential tremor, not only by dint of its connectivity, but we are now advancing structural imaging, so we have two ways of finding the motor part of the thalamus by dint of its connectivity and its structural visualization. And of course that gives us double the reassurance that we're going to hit the right spot.